Welcome to the Jaron Jarvis channel. I am Jaron Jarvis. Today, I would like to introduce to you, the Lightbox. A few years ago, I worked a really boring office job with some of the most insufferably boring people you'll ever meet. I don't remember their names now, but I imagine them to be names like Jan and Pat and Bill. Basic, boring names attached to basic, boring faces. It was my first job out of college, a way to bridge the gap between car payments and rent due dates. I was a data entry clerk. Totally dispensable. I could have gotten that job 100 other places, and they could have hired 100 other gangly graduates. But they picked me, and here I was. The company did a lot of different things, including answering round-the-clock customer inquiries. So we had two different sets of staff. The daytime staff included management and the company's biggest players, plus some of the PNs such as myself. The nighttime staff was full of PNs. There was one entry-level manager for 75 employees, and then 75 employees taking calls from livid or panicked customers. Sometimes a senior manager would pop in to make sure everything was running smoothly, but this usually only happened if there was some kind of problem. Ivy worked the nighttime shift. In fact, we shared a desk. The first time I met her, oh boy, did she ever stand out among the Jans and Pats and Bills. It was 2 weeks into the job and I was staying late to tie up some loose ends. Most of the daytime staff had left. It was the sweet spot after the day has ended, but before the nighters began. The office was silent except for the tick-tick-tick of my keyboard. The nighttime manager was already in his office, door shut tight, but I sat close enough to it so that I could hear the muffled laugh track of the sitcom he was watching on his laptop. Then Ivy walked in. I heard her first, the beep-beep of her employee card scanning, the click of the door closing shut. I peered up from my computer curiously. I'd never met a nighttime staffer before. And guys, she was gorgeous. And I say this not because of how she looked. Her face radiated, her smile seemed to ooze out of her face and lift the cloyingly depressing air in the office. She didn't look beautiful. She was beautiful. And she was headed right towards me. I think you're at my desk, she announced, as she approached. Oh. Sorry. They told me to sit here. But I could move. No worries, she laughed. We'll split custody of it. We had a brief conversation before I left. But I found myself staying a little later each night so I could speak to her. She was captivating and bright and hilarious, and I found that the best parts of my day were those floating half hours I could steal with her. Within a few months, Ivy and I had struck a pretty solid work friendship. Once, I treated her to a coffee at the shop downstairs. We spoke about her life. She was studying interior design, lived in the suburbs with her older sister, and was about to lose her shit with this job, but before I could ask her out on a real date, she rushed back upstairs. Twisting the bright red ring on her index finger, she announced she was 10 minutes late, and did not want to face the wrath of the nighttime manager. It was during this time that the Lightbox appeared. I came in one morning to find the portable marquee perched on the corner of our desk, plastic letters spelling "Have a good shift." I grinned like an idiot at our new, special way of communicating. After my shift, I switched out the letters to spell "Don't lose your shit," turned on the glowing light of the marquee, and stuck it under the desk. We spoke for a while in the break room that evening, but neither one of us mentioned the Lightbox. It was like our special secret. We communicate like this for what felt like forever. Every morning I looked forward to seeing what message she'd leave for me. Some days it was "Enjoy your shift," some days it was "Cough sucks today." One day I returned to the marquee hidden in one of the desk drawers. The light turned off, as it usually was, with "Are you ever going to ask me out" spelled in plastic letters. I gave a giddy giggle, slid out her letters and wrote "Tonight." Then I turned on the light and put it back where I found it. That evening, I waited and waited but she didn't show up. I only left when the very last nighttime worker made their way into the building, and the nighttime manager stumbled out of his office to ask me to go home. Before I did, I took out the Lightbox and wrote a new message. "You okay?" I got into work early that morning to see if I could catch her leaving. But she wasn't there. The Lightbox remained on, my "you okay" lonely reminder of her ghosting me. The whole day I was in a bad mood, but I knew I was being crazy. She was probably just sick. Or maybe something happened. Either way, I waited past my shift again that night, and way past the time Ivy usually came. The flame of hope was extinguished when the nighttime manager crawled out from his office and again dismissed me. Ivy never came in again. I waited for her for weeks until I realized that she quit and didn't bother to tell me. One night, tired of waiting and upset at the rejection, I tore open the desk drawer and angrily mashed the off switch on the light box. It turned on again. I squinted, then shut it off. It turned on. Off. On. Off. On. Panicking, I slammed the light box on the desk. "Turn off, you piece of shit," I whispered. It didn't. Hastily, I fumbled with the light box until I got the batteries out. Still, the box glowed white, the black "you okay" an illuminated taunt against the backdrop. I paused before turning it off again. Suddenly, the letters flew off the marquee, landing on the desk with two metallic FWPS. My heart thudded in my chest. Just what the fuck was going on here? "You're not a piece of shit," I hissed. "I'm sorry." More plastic letters fooped their way onto the marquee, NaNo slid into the center row. Then the light box turned on and off, frantically. No on. No off. On. Off. On. Off. No. 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 Thoroughly scared shitless, I tried to pry the letters off the box. I managed to get them out, but then felt a weight on my hands unlike anything I'd ever felt. Try as I might, they remained pinned to the desk, and then, "Help me! Help me! Help me!" The letters clicked into place on every row, the light flicking on and off more frantic than ever. Tears welled up in my eyes. I was so scared, convinced I was living a horror movie. The letters flew out of the marquee again. New letters slid to replace them. The light continued to flicker. "Help me! No! Ivy!" All the blood drained from my face. I felt cold and hot, all at once. "Ivy?" I asked, despite myself. The light turned off. Then it stopped flickering. The weight lifted from my hands. "Ivy, where? How do I help you? What's going on?" There was an eerie stillness for a little bit. Then, all at once, the lightbox launched itself from my desk and thumped into the manager's door. It fell to the ground with an angry thud, hitting the light switch on the way down. The box's light stretched all the way to the ceiling, bathing the area in front of the manager's desk with an eerie glow. The letters, still on my desk, arranged themselves to spell out "Go." Before I could process what was going on, the manager opened the door. "What the hell is going on here?" he barked. Then, "You again? Go home." I didn't know what to say, so I stared at him, mouth hanging open like a fish. Something he held in his hand caught in the light, reflected red shadows on the walls. My eyes shifted to it briefly. It looked like a ring. Then the letters swirled and arranged themselves on my desk again. Go 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 go. Working on pure adrenaline, I leapt out of my seat and beelined it for the door. As I turned the corner, I thought I caught a glimpse of Ivy in the creepy, blue-white glow of the lightbox. Her bright smile twisted into a barbaric snarl. I heard the manager yelp. But I didn't look back. Too terrified to return, I emailed my own manager the next morning and quit. I figured if what I experienced was real, I never wanted to step foot back in there again. If I hallucinated the whole thing, well, there was either a gas leak or the monotony had finally driven me fucking crazy. Either way, I didn't want to know anything about the place anymore. A few months after I quit, the place shut down, or at least moved buildings. I got a new job, got a girlfriend, eventually, we got married and moved into a different neighborhood. Last week, we were in a department store, just wasting some time together. We toured the labyrinth that is the home decor section, sitting on the demo mattresses and admiring the light fixtures. A sample light box sat on a shelf, and before I could walk away, I couldn't help but notice that the letters were arranged to spell, "Yes, I'm okay. THX.